on this edition of the Self-Publishing Show.
I think we are in the middle of a change, basically, and I think nicely put on an edge, which I think is really exciting, but I think things are still about to take off. I don't think the real takeoff has just yet happened.
Publishing is changing. No more gatekeepers, no more barriers, no one standing between you and your readers. Do you want to make a living from your writing? Join indie bestseller Mark Dawson and first-time author James Blatch as they shine a light on the secrets of self-publishing success. This is the Self-Publishing Show. There's never been a better time to be a writer.
Hello and welcome to the Self-Publishing Show. It's me, James Blatch.
And me, Mark Dawson.
Got to stop wobbling my laptop, making people seasick if they're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, it's looking different. I'm in a different location. I'm in sunny Mallorca in the Mediterranean Sea. It's the ocean, as all the American people who are here keep calling it. I keep saying it's the sea, which makes me very popular in the bar. I'm at a conference, a mastermind conference of high-earning authors. What are you doing there, Blatch? Someone might ask.
Well, exactly, yeah. Mastermind of high-earning authors, and you.
And me. I am here for Fuse Books and my own books. I picked up loads of stuff. So we've had lots of good conversations this week. I'm not going to go into it all now, but it's a bit of a tie-in with our blog this week, which is on how to protect your author business from AI. And AI clearly has been a big discussion point amongst the people this week. We've also talked about direct selling, which is really sort of gaining some currency, a bit more than it did a couple of years ago at the moment, as well as lots of other things. So we've had the usual crowd here. I think Dan Wood from Drafter Digital has been here. And then I've met some of the bigger authors from the planet. But you're not here. You have been to this event before, and it was in the Indian Ocean, I think. Was it the Pacific? I don't know where Bali is.
Yes, it's in the Indian Ocean. Yes, I was about 5 years ago, so that was fun. But yes, it's been so busy, I can't really afford to take another holiday.
It's not a holiday, Mark.
That's what you're doing.
It's not a holiday, Mark. It says as he drinks his beer.
Heineken. Yeah, so it has been very, very busy. So not least our own conference last week, which was rather good, I think. It went extremely well. Very nice weather, which is always helpful. And 700 or so authors, I think, it turned out, 750, something like that, came to the South Bay Centre for some really good sessions and fantastically organised, great speakers, really good feedback. We have a little kind of feedback box where people can leave their thoughts, and generally speaking, I think it went down better than last year, which is encouraging, given that we did listen to people's comments last time and made some tweaks to take those into account, and we'll do that again for next year if we decide to have one next year.
So a lot of people have been saying, because you and I were very kind of reticent on the stage at the end, but the truth is we are very likely to have it next year. It's just, with Catherine, who did all, a huge amount of the legwork for that conference, and me and you, and we're all a bit jaded at the end of the conference. It's probably not the right time for us to think, should we just start all this organisation again? But the reality is it's been our best year, and that's what people have said to me here, is it was the best year. It gets better and better, which is not surprising. We get a bit better and we understand what works and what doesn't. I thought the quality of sessions was very good. Went off technically without a hitch, which was great. And it seemed to be doing what this conference is doing as well, is that people talking to each other. And so what people have said to me here is they basically come with their shopping list of what they'd like to see at a future conference. So I'll write those down, and Yumi and Catherine and the team will sort of look at some of those ideas. One of the problems you have is pitch, because it's difficult to pitch a conference for somebody who hasn't published their first book yet, and for someone who's 2 series in. And so there is a way. Obviously, bigger conferences like 20 books will have a choice of sessions you can go to, but there's something we might be able to do on that front that we can have a think about. Make it work across the board. But SPF generally does work, I think, at the first few years of your existence. We do offer definitely training material on a more advanced front, but people join us and come here to learn how to self-publish, and that we need to stay honest to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there are a few things we could do at the venue that we haven't done before. So we have to think about. I'll think about another track. Perhaps we'll have to have a think about that. But yeah, it's there are some options. So we've got plenty of time to think about it, because I'm not thinking about it at all now for the next couple of months.
It's like on our Slack channel the next day with people going on about delivery, the digital. I was thinking, can we just decompress for a few days?
That's true. Yeah, we have got the digital conference to think about. So yeah, we should probably say at this point, if you want a digital ticket, I think it's SPS. I'll start again. selfpublishingforum.com/digital. I think
that is correct. Yeah.
All of the sessions have been. I mean, they're very well received, as we've just said, but they were professionally recorded. They're being edited at the moment, and we're adding some additional content this year from speakers who couldn't perhaps attend because they were different parts of the world, not able to get across. So we'll have some extra stuff. So everyone who went to the show, bought a ticket, will get that all for free. And if you couldn't come to the show, then you should grab that digital ticket, and you'll get the conference and the extra stuff when we release it. Probably, well, in fact, definitely in August.
In August, yeah. It's worth the price alone to watch Mark Raclow, and he's here, which is he's always so fun. And I gave a little talk this morning on running a non-fiction business, and there was a little love in towards SPF in it, which was lovely. It was unprompted, but we were just talking about the early days, how we started and what we focus on, how we run the business. And Mark just stood up and said, "I just have to say again, I owe everything to SPF," and a few other people joined in. It was so lovely and always good. He's like the Duracell bunny, isn't he?
He's a very nice guy, yeah. And again, very well received this time. We gave him an extra session this time rather than the half an hour he got the last year, and everyone really loved his session. He's just a funny guy. I think there's something. He's a naturally funny bloke, and he does it all in a German accent, which is kind of
which if you're British is in itself just comedy.
Yeah, it's like there's a comedian called Henning. Something or other in the UK. He's a funny looking bloke, which I think he's got very, very spaced out eyes on his face. He looks a bit weird. I mean that in the nicest way. But he has a very funny accent. I think there is just something just quite funny about a funny German. Yeah. I'm going to shut up now because I'm basically turning into black and insulting a whole country. So
it's normally me who goes down the 1970s comedy route, but yes, he's very. I've seen him live. He's a very funny guy. Yes. Good. Okay. Well, look, we will properly start going through the conference in more detail of what we learned there and some highlights. We'll probably dedicate an episode to it before we release the digital version of it. But we are at the moment getting back to our day-to-day jobs, which are multitude of jobs. I suppose the one thing we could mention, Mark, is the merger with Hello Books and Written Word Media, which I don't think we've covered in any detail on the show, but we could just mention it now, that something that was announced in the kind of the lead up to the conference, and there was a session at the conference itself.
When are we having the episode with Ricky coming on?
Well, that will be soon.
So maybe best to let's wait for that, I think.
Okay,
I mean,
that's true.
Yeah, it'd be much more natural to do it then. But yes, also, we are working with Written Word Media now, but we'll kind of leave that to the...
And all the slots have sold out. So hopefully by the time we... I was trying to get a slot myself yesterday. They all sold out. A lot of them are sold out. So we will, perhaps in a couple of weeks, things might be better to talk about that. All right, okay, we'll park that for the moment. So, talking of hilarious Germans, Mark, do you like my segue?
Yeah.
Today's interview is with two more Germans, in addition to Mark Raclow. So this is going to be a great episode for our German audience to listen to. Mark mocking the German accent. And now we're going to be hearing from...
no, I'm mocking it. I just think it sounds funny.
You said you find it funny. Andrea Kuhn and Freya von Koff, who are two fantastic, energized, funny and enjoyable company authors from Germany. I should say that Germany, and it's been mentioned this weekend actually in this conference I'm in Mallorca a couple of times, that Germany is the third biggest book market on the planet, which is amazing. And it's a country where they like reading. It's a country where British and American authors are making serious coin, including Mark Dawson of This Parish. And so there's a lot of talk about translations. It was one of the big sessions we covered at our conference, and was very much in the mix here as well. But Freya and Andrea both write it in German, as well as doing their own translations. They have a background in, a bit like you, Mark. Freya was traditionally published and had a bit of a dismal experience, and then was delighted when self-publishing came along. And they are two quite energized people. So I spoke to Frank Uhler. Is it Uhler? I think Frank. He comes over.
Uhler, yeah.
Uhler, who is head of KDP for Amazon in Germany, and he's aware of these two, and they're sort of emerging in the indie market as community leaders. So let's hear from them. Let's hear from Andrea and Freya, and then Mark and I will be back for a quick chat.
This is the Self-Publishing Show. There's never been a better time to be a writer.
Okay, Andrea and Freya, welcome to the Self-Publishing Show. We're going to talk about all things German self-publishing, which is an exciting, growing area. I know Mark is a big fan of the German market, but I think we need to start with the two of you. So who wants to go first and give me a bit of your background? Freya, why don't you go first?
Okay, sure. Hi, I'm Freya. My pen name in German is Freya von Korf, and I am an urban fantasy self-publishing author, and I also publish crime and thriller. And I was a very young, traditionally published author. I was traditionally published when I was 17. And I did not have the best experience with a publishing house. So I put writing aside for a while and went into a different direction. So I went into law. And I discovered writing again when I was about 31 years old, and I sat down and wrote a book. And then I immediately knew, because I wanted to have a different experience, I wanted to do self-publishing. And so I started out, had no idea what I was doing, and but was very lucky early on to meet Andrea, actually, and tagged along for her ride and learned a lot from her. And now we are kind of bouncing each other's backs. And so right now I have published 5 books that are going very well. I have taken the Ask for Authors class, which has changed my life, literally. And and I'm, I don't know, kind of, growing along, and my author business is growing, and I'm really happy and excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited for you. I could feel that enthusiasm. That's brilliant. So you were published when you were 17, and that didn't work out and you went into law. That sounds very similar to Mark Dawson. He had a not dissimilar experience, and then he discovered self-publishing. He also hasn't looked back. So, yeah, how exciting. Okay, Freya, thank you. Andrea, well, let's hear about you.
Yeah, I'm Andrea. My pen names in Germany are ANDREA WiLK, Thea WiLK, and Andrea WiLK. I publish romance and crime and nonfiction books for authors. And I started writing in 2017, even though I've always written stuff. And when I was in school, in high school, gymnasium in Germany, I even tried to write stories and send them into contests, but I didn't win, so I gave up. But I've always wanted to write a book. And then in 2017, I listened to The Memoir of Craft from Stephen King. And he said, when you write 1,000 words a day, then you can finish a novel in 3 months. And I was like, okay, well, I can do that. And I really felt this excitement. I still remember I was running around the lake, and I felt, well, this was a life-changing moment. And then I started writing, and then I heard about self-publishing, and then everything just felt so right. And I felt like coming home in a way. And since then, I've written 25 books. I've published 23 of them. I'm a best-selling author in Germany, and I really enjoy this. And I really enjoy to give on, or give my what I've learned, my experience, to other people. And I really feel like this is my life. This is what I want to do. And yeah, it's so inspiring, and I just want to give on this inspiration to other people. So
you write you write romance as well as thrillers, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and I think romance is your main pen name. Is it ANDREA WiLK? Is that
it is.
Most books you've done? Okay. Well, I mean, what's really exciting about this is we have had a French author on recently, because we talk about UK and American authors a lot. And when we talk about France and Germany, normally what we're talking about is somebody translating their books from English to German. But here we had a French author doing well in France. We have German authors doing well in Germany, which is a real sign to me that this is the whole indie thing is gathering pace, not just outside the big English-speaking countries where it perhaps started, which is really exciting. And I know lots of ears will be pricking up for our listeners, because there's markets there that need to be exploited. Do you want to? Exploited is a horrible word, isn't it? There's readers there. Yes. There's readers there who need to be served, who need to have the opportunity to read books. Let's talk about the German market. Freya, a little bit. You say a bestseller in Germany. So the German market, is it a good Kindle market, ebook market, as well as physical books?
Well, yes. The thing about I think the whole ebook world is, it's kind of, maybe in Germany it's kind of separated, I guess, from the whole print book world, which is basically because, bookstores, local bookstores in Germany are still very much, keen on just displaying traditionally published books. But when it comes to the ebooks, I think lots of publishing houses just a few years back, they didn't really believe in the ebook as a product, and they really were protective, of the print book as a product. And they did not think that ebooks could actually soar in Germany. And well, they were wrong, really. So you have this very big ebook market, actually, where people are basically kind of devouring books, and Kindle Unlimited is something that is very, very popular with readers, especially for fiction readers. And you don't only have Kindle Unlimited, you also have Tolino, which is, I don't really know whether this is a company that's also international, but this is a different e-reader, basically, where you can also download and read ebooks, which is really, really popular. So I get regular emails. Yeah, from people who are complaining, like, why are you only publishing on Amazon? I only have a Tolino. And so you have this, basically, you have this different market when it comes to the ebooks. And in the ebook world, self-publishing is hugely popular, and it's growing popular. And it's a true opportunity for writers actually to step into the market and to make a living as an author. And something that the publishing houses basically kind of left, just out there. And so it's ever growing, actually. Even more and more people are basically, buying an e-reader and are starting to read ebooks. And so self-publishing along with it becomes more popular.
Yeah, that is exciting. Andrea, I know you're quite well networked in Germany. So you're getting a sense of German authors, of a movement towards indie authors growing in Germany?
Well, I'm mainly connected to self-published authors, to indie authors, but yeah, I think so, because decades ago, when you published with a publishing house, you would stick with that publishing house, and they would publish one book after the other from you when they went well. But now it's like you have that contract for one book, and then you have to see if you get another contract for another book. And so I think a lot of authors are really annoyed with their publishing houses, because still they have to do all the marketing, and it's really hard to really make a living from publishing and publishing houses. So since self-publishing is getting more common and more, even though traditional publishing is still the main thing in Germany, kind of, you can see that readers open up because the quality of the book is really improving, like on and on. And I think quite often the self-published books are even more beautiful, which is a really big thing in Germany. We really love these beautiful books. It's really important here, and we are able to do that in self-publishing now. It's not something that only publishing houses can do anymore. So yes, I think switching.
German indie authors talking to each other. Obviously, you two have met. Is there a community like Facebook groups and so on in Germany of German indie authors?
Well, so you have the basically the self-publishing union, I guess you can call them, which is like this union of authors. And you also have book fairs that are very open self-publishers, which is really awesome because then you can really go ahead and sell the physical book. And also with the big book fairs like in Leipzig and Frankfurt, you also have sections where self-publishers are allowed to display, or where the union does stuff. And so you are actually able to meet people, and you have this actually a really amazing community that I entered via Instagram though. This is how I met Andrea, where you meet people and where you kind of bounce off each other's backs and really help each other. And yes, there is an active community, I'd say. And you have like really big authors, like Mara Wolf. I think it was one instance that Andrea mentioned. She's a huge self-publishing author, but she's also part of the self-publishing community. So it's someone you can talk to, basically. Well, if we dare to, sometimes I don't know. but yeah, we have a very active community, which is very supportive and competitive, but not in a way in that we are not, that we're jealous of each other's success, but where we are, pushing ourselves. And this has been a life changer for me too. And this is how we are collaborating. So it's something that really is worth getting into as well.
In terms of English language, Andrea, let me ask you this. Mark's obviously translated his books into German. They've done very well. I haven't done that yet, so I do sell my books in English in Germany. Is there a lot of English? I mean, you obviously both speak excellent English. Would you buy and read a book in English? Is that very popular in Germany, or would we really have to look at translation?
I just certified it in Germany, at least in Berlin. Children learn in 3rd grade in elementary school. They start learning English. So basically everybody in Germany is or should be capable of reading English, and it's getting better. And well, I personally prefer reading books in English that are written in English originally, because I don't quite often translations are not that good, but and I think a lot of people do that. So there is a market in the German book market for English books. When I was on the London Book Fair, it was so funny. I went to a supermarket and there were 3 people talking German. And I was just like, well, I have to say hi because I speak a language. And it turned out they were the big buyers from a huge bookstore chain in Germany, from Thalia, and they went to the London Book Fair to look for English books they can put into their store. So basically every bigger bookstore in Germany has a English book section. So yeah.
But still, I think, in terms of like what people read most, I think people are, Germans really love German too. And I think book translations have done very, very well in Germany. I think, like the most famous ones, for instance, Harry Potter, which had a great translation. By the way, I've read it in both languages, actually. And people actually love translated books, international books. So they don't mind, if a book takes place, for instance, in London or New York City. So it's actually an English speaking book, but it's translated into German. It's something that the Germans are very used to and are actually really liking, because, sometimes, especially with books, you want to have like every nuance in the language and you want to get it right. And this is something that you might not be able to do if you haven't been lucky enough to live abroad, for instance, or have a very, very good English education. And so lots of people do speak English and understand English, but when it comes to grasping those nuances, they might be missing something. So they might be more drawn to translated books, actually, because then they feel like they really can handle the language. So I think there is this market for non-translated books, but I think if you really want to make it in Germany as an author, I think you should look at translation.
Yeah, which is absolutely what lots of people are doing, although it is obviously quite expensive per book to get that done. Are you doing that in reverse? Are you having your books translated to English?
Yeah, we're just about to. We're just starting out. I have translated 2 books into English. One is a novella, which I use to attract people to my newsletter. And the other one is, that's actually my debut novel in German. It's this one. And and I'm just playing around with the cover and stuff. And I'm looking for bloggers on Instagram and on TikTok. And I want them to read them because I'm really, I'm a little insecure about the translation. I really want to have a lot of English native speakers to have read it before I publish it. And so I plan only to publish it in October. For that, I'm really sure that it's a good translation. And I've built up my author platform before that.
Have you translated it yourself?
I've translated it with DeepL. Or DeepL, I don't know how exactly to pronounce that. And
that's an AI, is it?
That's an AI, and it's an amazing AI. Freya told me about this, and I just tried it out, and I was like, that's not possible. It cannot be that good. And then I myself edited it, and then I gave it to native speakers and to an editor, of course. And they actually didn't really get that it was a translation. If they hadn't known, it was amazing. And then I gave it to bloggers without telling them that it was a translation. They didn't realize until I told them. So that was incredible. I would say if you go with that, you either have to know the language quite well in which you are translating, or you have to have some people to read it after and edit it. But it's possible.
Native speakers,
native speakers.
But that's potentially a big cost saving. It's going to cost $10,000 to translate a novel. But if you've started with the AI having a go at it, and then the translators simply reading through the AI and making corrections, I hope that would be a bit cheaper than $10,000.
Yes.
So that's something starts putting it within reach.
I think the great advantage that we are kind of at is that we, when we translate into English, we both speak English and we read English. So it's something, so we can, we recognize when something is off, I suppose. We are not native speakers, obviously, but still it's something different. If I were to translate a book into Italian, for instance, I would be much more insecure because I don't know a word in Italian besides
Grazie.
See, I guess.
Yeah.
And here you go. But so this is something that puts us probably at an advantage. And I think when looking at it into translations, it's always good to have some knowledge of the language that you're translating into.
Yeah. I'd be a bit stuck with German.
We talked to Nick Thacker, and he translated his books into Dutch, and he doesn't know a word Dutch. Mm-hmm. And he put in front of the book, he put the sentence, the words, "This book has been translated by AI. If you find a mistake, please tell me." It wouldn't be out there in your language if I had to do it with a translator, because I just couldn't afford it. So I think that's really smart to do it like that.
Yeah, and then he'll probably get all his editing done for free when readers just email him and tell him. Yeah, I'm crowdsourcing it. I like it. So it feels like you're on the edge with AI and other things. You're on the edge of the German Kindle market in particular, and also ebook market exploding. Does that? I mean, in some ways, that might worry you, as you've got the market to yourselves at the moment. But we do know that the more people take up ebooks, vastly more books they'll need to read. Mm-hmm. So you're on the precipice of something big in Germany. Is that what it feels like?
Actually, yes, it does, kind of, because I think it's kind of interesting. When you are within the publishing community, you realize that publishing is changing a lot. There is a lot of change happening with, actually traditionally published authors taking the indie route because it's much more lucrative, and because, they have built a brand, and because this relationship between reader and author is about to change, actually, not just in terms of that people are reading more ebooks, but also that they are sticking with an author and their brand and their idea of what books are, and not with the publishing houses. Before, it was people were very, stuck with publishing houses and the kinds of books that they put out. But I think this has not, it's not very common knowledge yet. If you talk to someone on the street about, publishing or books, they always assume that you go with a publishing house, that this is something done for you. And so being an author is very much associated with sitting down and writing a book and handing it over to your publishing house. And they don't really realize that self-publishing has gone this far. And I have people regularly at my house picking up my book, and they're like, "Hey, which publishing house is this?" I'm like, "It's none, it's mine." Yeah. And so I think we are in the middle of a change, basically. And I think nicely put, on an edge, which I think is really exciting. Mm-hmm. But I think things are still about to take off. I don't think the real takeoff has just yet happened.
Yeah. Let's talk about marketing in Germany. I mean, I'm very familiar with the US and the UK marketing, which is where most of my effort goes, which is Facebook ads and Amazon ads mainly, with the odd book pub and free books in Hello Books. What does it look like in Germany? Is that similar? Andrea, do you want to say that?
Yes, I would say it is rather similar, but we do a lot of marketing with social media as well, and we work a lot with bloggers. So the blogger sphere here is really big, and it's really part of your network as an indie author. You have a lot of bloggers around you that support you when you publish a book, and that's really huge. And what we are just getting into is TikTok. I think this is just starting off in Germany. Freya and I, we are doing the TikTok for Authors course from the Self-Publishing Launchpad, and we're really excited about this. I tried to start that like a year ago, the TikTok thing, but I was just reposting stuff I posted to YouTube or to Instagram, and I just realized you cannot do it like that. You really have to. That's really special. TikTok is really special, but I love that. I like that, and I think what Freya said, that readers are really going with the author. I think this is the really important thing here. Of course, you have to find those readers at first, but making these super fans and really telling those people that's me, that's really what marketing is about, for me at least, to really get to know them and get them to know me, for that I can I think that's the more yeah. Well, that's
the author as a brand, and which is something we talked about recently. Feels like it's as important in Germany as it is anywhere else, but perhaps even more so with the market being growing. And is that the same for you, Freya? The Facebook ads, Amazon ads, are they something that work in Germany well?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. So I took the Ads for Authors course, as I mentioned, because Andrea recommended it to me, basically. And I had, I don't know, I think I actually wrote before before I booked the course, I think you have this offer that you can write and people have a look at you and your author career so far, whether it makes sense for you to take the course. And I don't remember who wrote back to me, but someone wrote to me, yeah, you are basically perfect for the course. And it turned out it was just like that. So I took the course and I started to run Facebook ads and educated myself on them through the course and through other sources as well. And I can honestly say they are working. So they are actually really creating traffic on my Amazon page, and people are buying the book, and they haven't done so before. So this is something that is working, and I'm not as successful with Amazon ads, though. I think Andrea has more success there. So I'm basically just focused on Facebook ads at the moment, and this has allowed me, for instance, like I mentioned before, to cut back on my actual day job, because I create a part of my income now solely through writing, and it's increasing actually. So this is something that is working just as well in Germany, I suppose, as in the English-speaking world.
And Andrea, there must be a growing service industry around indie, like there has been in the States and the UK, when BookBub and Free Books in Hello Books are three that I've mentioned, but there's lots of other services that perhaps aren't targeted to Germany at the moment. I imagine there's quite a lot of opportunity there.
Yes, there is. We have those marketing services like BookBub, but they're quite smaller, and well, I don't use them anymore because they're either really expensive and you get not really something out of it, or they're not that much expensive, but then the readership is really small, or the subscribers number is really small. So I don't use them. But in other fields, it's just popping. You have so many new editors who are indie editors now. So the whole indie industry is really growing. So many freelancers are just starting out to work. For instance, bloggers, they now are editors, and you can work with them. I think that's how Freya started with her editor, right? It was
it was actually funny. She was she was taking part in this thing on this basically social media for books. It's called Lovely Books in Germany, and she read my book.
Goodreads.
It's like exactly. And she read my book to give me a review, and she loved my book, and she kind of because I had just started out and I hadn't properly edited, and then she edited my book for free and offered to do the other books of the series for me, which she did, and she did an amazing job. And this actually encouraged her to open up her own business. So she is a free editor now. Because of our collaboration at the very beginning, and she's still editing my books and is doing a fantastic job. And and I have heard stories like this over and over again. So this is something that is really, indeed, like Andrea said, growing.
Yeah. And that also means that you can work with a lot of beginners, and beginners are a lot cheaper. And when you're starting out, you really need to consider where you put your money. And when you have these beginners who are really good, then you can really, you can have better covers and editing and stuff, and you can get all this stuff for less money than.
Yeah. And you build very nice relationships as well with your editor. For instance, like an editor, you need to get along with your editor.
Yes.
I guess. And so you can build these very deep, long-running relationships that are very, very, that I appreciate a lot. And I guess other writers will too.
Yeah, I found my editor like this as well. And we're working together for almost 5 years now. So on 24 books so far. So
wow. Yeah. A very important relationship. So it makes it feel like, makes me think we should probably come to Frankfurt to the book fair or Leipzig next year. Feels like we're missing out. If I go there, will people speak English to me?
Yes.
Oh, thank goodness.
Definitely. Don't worry. Frankfurt is like a very international city, and you won't have any trouble there.
I don't sprechen Sie Deutsch, unfortunately. Apart from that, that's all I can say. Yeah. So this is obviously a bit of a revelation. Most people listening to the podcast obviously will be probably American. Well, we know mostly American, UK, and then other countries, Australia and South Africa and so on after that, but mainly English speaking. But this is another wake-up call, I think, that another market is emerging. And a few years ago, this wasn't the case. Germany, I know a few years ago, Germany wasn't that vibrant when it came to ebooks. So this has happened feels like it's happened quite quickly, last 2 or 3 years.
Well, we have Kindle Direct Publishing since 2012, but it really picked up I published my first book in 2018, and I think it was a good point to start, but every time is a good time to start, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so yes.
But I think I think Corona changed a lot when it comes to people reading ebooks, actually, because the bookstores were all closed, but Germans read a lot. And I think the German book sales are a third of the American ones, even though the country is much smaller.
Wow.
And so I think,
yes.
I think so the Germans read a lot, and the fact that they couldn't go to bookstores and get print copies of their books has really brought this surge in ebook reading. And so I think the market has grown quite a bit lately, and it's something which is like it's a present for self-publishers, really, because like I said, publishing houses, they do offer ebooks for their titles, but those ebooks are oftentimes very expensive. They are not with Kindle Unlimited or other services. So this is something where self-publishing really got a really great push forward, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. And we just looked up the numbers, and Germany is the third biggest book market in the world after America and China. And I think it's more than 2 times bigger than, more twice the size of the UK book market, for instance. So there's a lot of potential.
Wow. We obviously don't read enough. You're so well read in Germany. That's why you're better at everything, including World Cups and industry.
I wouldn't say that, but we read a lot.
Well, Germans love books. This is something that you really need to keep in mind. Germans love books. And
and you really have to know that, because we love how books look, and we love how books feel, and we love how books smell.
Yeah.
There are all these senses in Freya and I, we have a podcast on becoming international best-selling authors. And we have a season there about the German market. And in one of these episodes, we talk about the print book and how important this is to, and we compare print books to American print books we could buy in German stores, and they're really different. So yeah,
right. I should remember that. I've always felt my book should smell a little bit like an old aeroplane. Get a bit of oil and grease in there just to evoke it. Because maybe that's the next thing we should be looking into. Smell is such an important thing, isn't it?
Yes,
okay,
it is.
So what is next for you two? Andrea, I know you do a bit of non-fiction as well. You write for authors, I think.
Yes, I do. I started with one book, which was 108 things I wish I had known before I published my first book. And then I went on with Write Your Book and How to Plan Your Book. And I have a YouTube channel in Germany about writing and about self-publishing and about following your heart and about inspiring. And that's really important to me. It's really important for me to connect to other authors and to share experience, not only mine, but to know the experience of other authors and other people from the book world. So this is really important to me. But still, I love writing romance and sometimes thrillers. Not that often because I'm a happy person. So but now I've just written a book about a girl who sails around the world, and will be my first time I try out Kickstarter in Germany, which is not that established as in the English market. So I'm really, really curious about that. So I'm always so curious about everything. I want to try out everything. I love AI and stuff. So yeah. It's never boring for me.
No, you're not boring. I love your enthusiasm. I love it. Freya, so what's next for you? Going to continue, obviously, with your newfound career?
Yeah, I'm continuing. I'm actually writing my next book as we speak, which I'm going to publish in Germany in the fall. And on the other side, I'm right now taking the TikTok course because I think book talk is like the thing to go. I've talked to various people who are really emphasizing on that book talk is something next to Facebook that is really taking off because it really creates sales for authors. And then the other thing that I'm eyeing at right now is, of course, translating my urban fantasy books into English because they have done very well in Germany. And I have written them always with this kind of thought in my mind to publish them internationally because they have an international setting and the characters actually do speak English, even though the book is written in German. And so I always had that in mind, and I really want to follow up on that. And so I think this year I'm going to focus on the translations and then the publishing next year. So these are like my big projects to take on, which are really exciting because it's taking up more and more of my time, and I'm creating more and more income. So I'm actually really looking forward to making this a full-time job very soon, hopefully.
You can see that in your future. That'll be a full-time thing for you. You're on that part. Are you still working in law?
Yes, I am. I'm a judge, actually.
You're a judge?
I'm a judge.
Oh, you kept that quiet. Freya's a judge.
She always does.
Blimey.
Well, it's different in Germany because you can, straight out of law school, basically you can become a judge. It's different, I think, in the UK. And so people, whatever I said, I think I had once a very lovely chat with someone at Heathrow Airport, and she was asking me what my job was, and I told her, and she was looking at me.
Yeah, you're far too young to be a judge.
We had to talk about that. And I love the law, but I don't know. Right now, it feels like when it comes to self-publishing and writing books, it feels like destiny is calling, and I really want to go with that.
Well, I think you should write some legal thrillers.
She does.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
We really need more time to do stuff together.
Definitely.
Great. Well, look, it's been fantastic hearing about the German market. It's very enthusiastic from both of you. And obviously, it's an important market. It's only going to go one way, isn't it? And I think getting everything right for authors who want to publish into Germany is going to be a big thing. I can imagine you two playing a role in that, actually sort of evangelizing for people in the UK and the US of how to get Germany right would be a role for you. But good.
Wow.
Yeah, how exciting. Congratulations, both of you. Thank you very much indeed for coming onto the show. And thank you, by the way, for having me on your show last week.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having us. And it was a blast. So
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
This is the Self-Publishing Show. There's never been a better time to be a writer.
There you go. So after US and China, Germany is the third biggest market. So we had a presentation just about Germany here at this mini mastermind conference, and we had a whole session dedicated to translations from Bella Andre at our conference. So obviously it's interesting to hear from two German authors, brilliant to hear from them, and I thought they were great. Bits of great commercial interest as well to me. I think my military thrillers would go down very well in Germany, if I'm sure they would. It sounds immodest, but they sell in Britain, and I think they'll sell in Germany is what I mean. And you've certainly found that with your thrillers. Yeah,
absolutely. Germany's a very, very vibrant market for me, as I've said lots of times before. And looking at France now and Spain, so I've got some books actually in French first of all. We're going to try that. And had a great session with Bella at the conference. And as Bella mentioned a couple of times on stage, we're actually working with her now on a course that will teach you how to sell in a foreign language. So from translation to editing to where you find your team to advertising, formatting, promotion, marketing, everything that Bella has done. And I suspect some of the things that I do as well will have similarities there. We're putting that together at the moment and hoping to have that ready in 6 or 7 weeks. So we'll be very good to see that one out there, because I think it could be quite popular.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, it's one of the shortcuts to expanding your income and your bottom line. There's just been one of the buzzwords around here is you can write the next book. Of course, you'd always want to be writing the next book, and you've been very dedicated to writing recently. I know that, but it's hard. Writing books is hard, and what's a bit easier is exploiting books you've written in the past, and not leaving money on the table, what other expressions you want to throw at it, but maximising your income from the products you've got already, and that's starting to happen. There's a lot of talk about AI, audio, AI translations. They might not be there yet, but these things are coming down the line. It will be one way or another. It's going to be easier to do this stuff in the future than it is now, although we have to be cautious on all those fronts. But getting your books translated is, well, depending on how big your backlist is, it's definitely something we all need to be taking seriously. I think I need to get going on it, because you know what? One of the conversations I had this year around here is people who have 25 books, and 25 times $10,000. I mean, you can do the maths. It's a lot of money. Well, I've got 3.5. I've got 2.5 books. Now's the time to do it, to keep up with that and not leave myself when I've got 6 books and think, actually, it's a big chunk of change getting them all done. So that's my thinking on it.
Yeah, also, the German market is some way behind the English-speaking markets, just in terms of they've been more mature. So there's less competition at the moment. So it's kind of like what it was like in 2015, 2016, when it was much easier to make an impact when you get started. So if you've got books that are ready to go, you can put them in the market. You're going to give yourself a head start over the other authors who are quite not at that point yet. So yeah, I wouldn't wait. I would. I'd be looking to get that done.
Can't wait for Bella's translations course. It's going to be. I'll be the first one. Well, yeah. I will be, because I'll probably be editing it. But
yes, yeah, exactly. One of the first ones up there. So yeah, definitely recommend that.
Well, I never looked back after editing our TikTok course. I sort of took it as I went along. And
that's right.
I never looked back. Okay, well, look, that's it. I mean, I've got a very, very busy evening ahead here in Mallorca.
Yeah. Yes, listening to he's drinking a beer again. I've got water. Although I'm going to have a beer in a minute. It's 5:30 here, and I think I'm due. I was actually at, as I said to James off camera, I was at a concert last night seeing Muse in Milton Keynes, and this was the first thing that's ever happened to me. I was sitting down in the hospitality area with my friend having a beer, and someone came up to me and said, "Are you Mark Dawson?" And I was like, "Yes. Who are you?" And he said, "I love your books." And it was a reader. He recognized me, and that's never happened before in 10 years, which was, I was kind of like, that's quite weird, because I was saying to someone else, if you think about, actually, I think I was saying it after the conference, I in our little world, I'm reasonably, and you are too, reasonably well known. People know what we look like, and they'll come and say hello, which is lovely. But outside of our little world, I can walk down the street and no one knows who I am. And I think that's probably true for almost all authors. J.K. Rowling probably couldn't. Although I reckon if you did a test with 100 people, I shouldn't think more than 50 would know what she looks like.
No, and Lee Child probably would. He would just walk past people.
James Patterson, the biggest selling author on the planet. Very few people would know what he looked like. So for me, who's not anywhere near the success of those writers, it's never happened in 10 years. So this was the first time, which was really, as I say, it was quite a cool moment. And actually, my friend was there. And he was he thinks I'm famous now. He was like, "How much did you pay him to do that?"
Yeah.
And his name was Craig Garrett, because I asked him. I said, "Sorry, that's the first time it's ever happened. What's your name?" He said, "Craig Garrett." So I'm going to look him up on. I think he's probably on my mailing list. So I'll look him up and maybe name drop him in the next newsletter.
That's great. Well, one of my friends I was just saw on Facebook today posted one of his pictures from the beach. You know, the people arrive at the beach on some holiday and post the pictures and relax type thing. And there was one of your books on the table next to him. So I mean, I have not seen him for years. He's an old friend. But whether he's followed me and made the connection or whether it's just coincidence, I don't know. But your books are pretty widely read. I mean, you do see them around. So obviously, I think the book club stuff you've had recently has started to raise the profile.
Well, if he's on holiday, he would have gone through an airport and they would definitely have been in Smith's. So he might well just have picked it up. That's entirely possible. It's selling, thousands every week at the moment, which is, 2,000-3,000 a week, which is really, really cool. Yeah. But, even saying that, it's not the best selling out of the 6 books they put in the club. You've got Lisa Jewell is doing huge numbers, multiple thousands a week. And, I'm kind of plugging away. So it's been a good experience. And also because first in the series, I'm advertising it quite heavily at the moment, and it's in Prime Reading, and it's been in the top 25 for about 4 weeks now, 3 or 4 weeks, just kind of sticking out there at full price. So Atticus is selling, the 3 books are selling really well at the moment, in the UK, just in the UK. So probably, I don't know, I'm going to say £20,000 this month, something like that, just for those 3 books. So that's not Milton either. So that's a new series that looks like it might have legs as well. So it's having a good month.
Superb. Okay. Yeah. I'm not quite doing that, but I did finally check my books for the first time in ages, and I'm actually doing all right as well. I'm only advertising my free book at the moment, direct to the main list with lead gen campaign, but it's paid for itself. It's just about into profit, only a bit. It's basically breaking even, spending about 20 quid a day on lead gen ads and selling 20 quid a day's worth of books. So I'm just building my mailing list for free.
You're getting a free audience. Yeah, exactly. It's excellent.
Yeah. So I'm pleased about that, but I haven't really focused on my books for a long time. So I'm motivated again now, having had our conference last week and had this conference. I've started plotting again and for my new book. And I designed the cover in Midjourney today, which I'm not, just for fun. But Midjourney and AI has come on so much on the imagery front. So being able to take, I worked about 15 different prompts, variations of prompts to get the cover I thought would look right, then expanded it in Photoshop, and then started putting a title on it. Honestly, it looks pretty good. I won't go with it. Stuart will design me a much better cover, but it looks damn good. In fact, I'll send it to John Stone so he can flash it up what I've been working on here. Yeah. And I did it during a session this afternoon, just playing about, and a couple of people looking over my shoulder saying, how do you do that? But it's so easy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay, right, that's it. Sorry about the quality probably this week, just on a laptop. We'll be back in the studio. I'll be back in the studio next week. And
my quality is as excellent as ever.
We expect nothing less from you. Unchanged quality. Sounds like a band, like an indie pop band from the 90s. Okay, great. Thank you very much. All that remains for me to say is a goodbye from him.
And a goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Get show notes, the podcast archive, and free resources to boost your writing career at selfpublishingshow.com. Join our thriving Facebook group at selfpublishingshow.com/Facebook. Support the show at patreon.com/selfpublishingshow. And join us next week for more help and inspiration so that you can make your mark as a successful indie author. Publishing is changing, so get your words into the world and join the revolution with the Self-Publishing Show.